What's up guys? In this video I'll be covering two quick topics. First, with the addition of Guam and her Rainbow Large Cruiser gun, I wanted to see how exactly the large cruisers rank in terms of DPS. Next, I wanted to see how effective Avrora is now with the addition of Unzen and Hindenburg. The spreadsheet I'm showing in the video, as well as the footage of my testing, will be linked in the description. First, I'll show the equipment that I use on all the large cruisers. All of it is pretty standard, with plus 13 best in slot damage equipment, rudder, Fumo, and using their AA slot to fulfill skill requirements if necessary. I sorted them in the raid event EX stage with only Vestal in the back. Azuma's kit has a unique burn, so I used the total raid damage dealt, as well as her end screen damage to see how much damage she dealt via burn, since the burn damage does not show up in the end screen. I left my fleet tech on, but didn't use cats for the sake of replicability. Aside from damage, the ships obviously have other differences that make them better or worse than each other depending on the situation, which I'll mention as well as I go along. Let's now take a look at the results. To adjust for Oath, I multiplied the damage by 1.05. It is not an exact calculation, but it is definitely much closer than the actual damage of an Oathed ship, as opposed to directly using the damage from the unoathed ship. To adjust for level, I multiplied their damage by 94 over 84. I can't be bothered to explain why, but just know that, unlike Oath, this part of the calculation is exact. First and foremost, we see a clear winner in Kronstadt, who deals more than 10% more damage than the next highest ship. She doesn't offer much to the fleet she's in other than being a huge stat stick, so it's fair that she deals more damage than the others. After Kron, there isn't a huge difference between the remaining 4 large cruisers, so I can't be confident that one will deal more damage than the other in any single fight. In any case, Guam did end up in second place. When I was looking over her kit in the data mine, I did not realize the difference between a homing barrage and an aimed one, so I thought she would beat even Kronstadt. The barrage that Guam has, which I'm showing now, slightly homes like magnetic torpedoes, but doesn't lock in on a single enemy. It's not suited for a single enemy, and despite that, she's still in second place. If there are more enemies on the screen, then her damage relative to others should be even higher. And obviously, her proficiency in anti-air makes her the best choice in Chapter 15. Next up is Azuma. I think many people have been disappointed with her damage since her unique burn, which stacks with other sources of burn, doesn't show up in the end screen. With the burn though, you can see that her damage is really not that bad. She is, however, outclassed by Kron both in terms of damage and survivability, but she can still be useful at times to fulfill IJN requirements. Next is Breast, who has the niche of being half a healer, so she's always going to be useful when you need healing. And finally, we have A-Gear. I ran plus 13 quad mags on her, which she couldn't bring before due to having to time her slow. But since the addition of Bismarck Zwei and Implacable, her slow is nowhere as crucial as it used to be, so it's not uncommon to be able to use actual torps on her these days. She still has the advantage of being the tankiest in a single fight, as well as being able to apply armor break, and her damage isn't as far behind the others as I thought. Since she has torpedoes instead of a secondary gun, her relative damage should be even higher against heavy armor enemies. Moral of the story is, their damage is more or less the same aside from Kronstadt, so just choose the one that fits your needs best. Moving on, I tested the damage of Unzen and Hindenburg with their best loadouts. But now that I look at it, I forgot to give plus 13 torps to Hindenburg, but I don't think it would make a huge difference. Aside from Hindenburg, I did not gather a large sample size because Plymouth's damage has pretty much no variance, and just knowing that Unzen is between the other two is enough. At a glance, it may seem like Hindenburg is much stronger than Unzen, who is herself much stronger than Plymouth. However, due to a significant part of Unzen's damage coming from her torps, the duration of the battle can skew the results significantly. For a minute-long battle like this, she is just short of firing her next salvo of torpedoes. If the battle lasted for just 5 more seconds and she could get those off, then the damage would be much closer. though I think Hindenburg would still have the advantage, as Unzen can only hit half her torpedoes on auto against a single enemy. In any case, with this Vanguard power creep, we can see that Avrora is even stronger than before, relative to other damaged Vanguards. If you sortie her between Hindenburg and Unzen, her buff alone contributes almost as much as Plymouth, and she only needs to deal 33k to exceed Unzen in damage value, which is very easily doable. If you sortie her with Hindenburg and Plymouth instead of Unzen, who you'd likely want to use in most cases for her flagship buff over Unzen, Avrora would need to deal 40k damage herself to be worth bringing over Unzen. I did a single run with her at level 120 with plus 10 equipment, and she dealt about 36k. Adjusting for levels, she reaches about 40k, and if you give her plus 13 equipment, she ends up second only to Hindenburg in terms of Vanguard damage contribution. It does seem like she still can't output more than Hindenburg against medium armor though, at least for now. But she has pulled it pretty far away from the other primarily damage-dealing Vanguards like Drake and Harbin, provided that the other ships in your Vanguard are sufficiently strong, and she will only get stronger as stronger ships come out. Anyway, that's pretty much for this video. Hope you found it informative. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.